Hey, Tara here, and I'm coming to you from my car today, my SUV, and I really didn't know what I wanted to talk about on my Facebook Live today until I was at a client's house helping them out, and then it was just like bam, immediate download of what I received and what I feel like I'm supposed to share with you today. And that's my little one in the background, in case you can't tell. I can't believe it. In a little over 2 weeks, she's going to turn 2. It's kind of crazy that that's happening. I don't know that I'm ready for that just yet. But anyway, I don't know what you're facing or what you're dealing with today. But something told me that there are a number of you that are going through some trials and some encounters with some testing going on in the atmosphere. Maybe some things aren't quite going your way, or you're facing some opposition, or maybe everything is going really well and it's just a particular area that you have a challenge with. And I just want to encourage you, there's just no way around the storm. There's no way around the trial. The thing is you have to allow yourself to be humble and teachable, to be equipped with learning how to deal with trials and errors and challenges and things. What I can encourage you with is, don't be scared and don't be nervous of going through challenges and enduring trials, seasons of trials in your life, because you're being tested for something so much greater. But part of passing the test is knowing how to handle maturity. It's about the level of maturity, or part of the trial is about the level of maturity and how you handle the season of the trial. Do you have a positive attitude when you go through a test or a trial? Do you be mindful of others? Do you take your feelings and your thoughts out on others when you're going through a season of something that might just be really difficult for you to handle, or you've never been through it before, so it can be uncomfortable, or maybe you've been through it before and you're like, why am I going around this mountain again? Well, it could just be because you're being tested on a level that is deeper. You know, you might be going through something, but you're like ready for the next layer of revelation. You're ready to receive something more from the experience. And sometimes we heal, or we go through journeys and processes to learn something at a different level, something deeper that we're meant to connect with, that maybe we just didn't get the first time around, or we weren't prepared or ready for it. But because we remain teachable and coachable, we receive the tools and the resources and the knowledge that we needed, so that when we endured the season, we were equipped to handle that situation, whatever it was. And I just want to encourage you, you're actually more ready than what you think you are to handle this test that you're going through. And the proof of that is you wouldn't be going through it if you weren't ready to encounter it. It is because you are actually being entrusted. You're not being punished. You're being entrusted with something that's going to take you to that next level, or that breakthrough. It's not enough to sit there and say, okay, well, I want this breakthrough. I want this in my life to change. You know, I want something different. And you pray and pray and pray about it, or you just are like, maybe you just like wishful thinking, or just, you know, I don't know, meditating or focusing on it. But it's all fine when it's good and everything's positive. But the minute that the challenge arises, it's like you didn't want to go through it. You know, we look at people's success, we look at their breakthroughs in life, but we forget what it cost in order to get there. Maybe it was inconvenience, because success really isn't often convenient. Or, you know, maybe it was just a great big sacrifice, whether time, whether financially, whether relationally. Maybe some things really had to change in that person's life, and their heart was seen, right? Like the harvest and the fruit of the heart was seen. And so they were put through that series of tests and challenges that brought them to the other side, where they found that success, or they found the result or the answer that they were looking for. So don't get disgruntled, don't get discouraged, don't whine, don't complain. When you're being tested, you're going through seasons, the best thing that you can do is to be thankful. First of all, be thankful for where you came from. Secondly, be thankful about where you're going, because this is a new season and territory in your life. And even though it may not look the way you think that it should look right now, I promise you, if you stick it out and you have a good attitude, you remain mindful of others, you remain mindful of the things that might need to be dealt with in your life and in your heart, so that you can help countless others, you will get to that other side of that breakthrough. Okay? And don't sit there and say, it's never going to happen. When is it ever going to happen? Well, that's part of why you keep going around the same mountain, why you keep being tested. Your heart and your motive has to be pure. You have to really be in a spot of truly, truly receiving. Part of being promoted, part of having breakthrough, part of having results is sometimes going through the fire. You can't get around it. You can't just say, well, I'm scared, or I'm having difficulty receiving that because that's just such a great big call on my life and I don't even know what to do with it. Well, that's exactly why you're being taught and equipped and put in a season of rest and in a season of learning and training, because you're being promoted to that other side. But you have to go through the test. You must always face a test before you're promoted. Okay? If you really want that breakthrough, you're going to face opposition and be tested. Learn how to welcome it and embrace that trial. Learn how to embrace the season that you're in. Okay? Don't take shortcuts to success. Don't try going around. Don't try, cutting somebody else off or wanting somebody else's success. That's like chasing a fantasy, and that's pride before a fall. That's ego. Don't do that. But instead, just focus on where your journey is and where you're at in the moment, because there is so much that God has for your life, that He's already destined, that He already wrote in your book of life before you even entered this earth. Okay? And He really wants to execute it. But you have to allow yourself to go through the trial and the tribulation first. Okay? You have to demonstrate that you are mature enough to handle it. So what's going to happen? You have success, and success falls out of the sky, and then all of a sudden you don't know what to do with it. It's like Bruce Almighty. Remember that movie? It's like he thought he could handle being God. And he's like, I've got the power, right? And then God tests him on whether or not he has the power or not, and he miserably failed. Because he was not equipped to be God. He wasn't called, he didn't have the authority to be God. He had the authority to be Bruce. So we cannot forget our identity and who God has called us to be in our season, in our equipping, and we should not be afraid to be armored up, and it doesn't look like everybody else's measure of success, and that's okay. It's not about other people. It's about you going where you need to go, and sometimes that journey can seem lonely, and it can seem narrow, and it can seem difficult and tedious. Sometimes it's filled with things that we don't want to do, or that our flesh doesn't like or is afraid of. But our spirit man must rise above that, because you're called to be above that. You're called to live on the edge as an eagle. You're not called to be a chicken and, a bunch of wire, around a fence line. You're called to do so much more than that. Okay? But the thing is, you got to face the trial. You can't just walk around it. You must go through it. Okay? You can't keep running. Don't be like David did and run away from what God is asking and equipping you to do. Face what you need to face. Take the time. The only difference between you and somebody else is that they had a few more tests. They had a few more failures. They made a few more mistakes. They had a few more things they had to work through. And they already worked through them. So don't sit there and compare your results or where you're going with somebody else. Amen? Just focus on where you're going, where God has you, what you need to learn in this season. Be thankful He chose you to be equipped. Be thankful that He chose you to be in a trial, because that means that He believes in you and that you are going someplace new and big, and He has greater and bigger things for your life. But it's kind of like school. You know, when you pass kindergarten, you got to go to first grade, then you go to second, then you go to third. Well, guess what? Life's lessons are like that as well. You have to face a certain trial, be tested on it, and then go to the next level, okay? Then you start learning again. Never stop learning, never stop growing, never stop being authentic to you and where you're at each and every season. You have to go through a trial before you receive a harvest, bottom line. And if you're not willing to go through it, then that's just flat out disobedience at that point. And you know what? It's not just hurting you, it's hurting a bunch of other people in the process. And you don't want to be caught up in that. You know, you want to go to where God has you. The eagle is the only bird that can soar through a storm. So don't be afraid to be the eagle. It's some of you, it is time to rise up and stop running from your challenge and stop running from your trial and stop burying it, because you know what? It's not worth it. It's not worth running from, because guess what? You're only delaying the blessing. And then guess what? You're going to be asked to go around the same mountain and the same trial again. So you might as well learn from your lesson the first time through. If you really want to receive that promotion, you really want to receive the blessing, and it can't be enough that you say you want those things. Do it. Implement it. Take action. Face it. Endure it. Because it's building steadfastness, it's building patience, it's building love, it's building so many things in you. It's building up your character. And that way, when you start to move forward in your life and, you know, that blessing does come, guess what? You have the maturity to handle it. You're not going to feel like Bruce did. You know, you're going to be able to face it, and you're going to be able to do so much with it. You're going to be able to share it with others. You're going to be able to be a blessing. You're going to be able to rise up and do so many things on a whole different level with a whole different purpose. And sometimes it doesn't look the way we intended, and you know what? That's okay. It's about where we're going. We don't want to get too far behind because our past is not our identity, and we don't want to get too far in the future because our, you know, it's too far ahead. But we need to focus on the present and be thankful for the moment that God has us, because this is the moment that we're meant to be in. This is the moment that determines the rest of our life, and we have to live it like we are not guaranteed a tomorrow. So be thankful for where you're at and be even more thankful for where you're going. I hope that this brought some value to you. I'm going to leave my information in the comment section. I think what needed to be shared was most definitely shared. Definitely let's stay connected. I'm going to leave my VIP link here in the comments. So if you haven't done that already, please opt into that so we can stay in touch. I'm going to be, you know, sharing some more encouraging words, and I'm going to be sharing some more tips, tools, and strategies and overcoming and breakthroughs. So you'll want to stay tuned to that. Lots of good things are happening. And if you're curious about what it is that I do business-wise, I'm going to leave that link in the comments too, along with a few instructions. So make sure you watch that video and then fill out the application. That way we can get in touch and see how I can be a blessing to you and share in this journey with you. All right, have a great rest of your day. Be blessed. Love you too, Dawn. Thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye for now.